constantly expanding repertoire of incomprehensible and/or scary screen messages, including B prompt, non-system disk or disk error, invalid switch, path not found, warning, all data will be lost, and just about everybody's all-time favorite, abort, retry, fail? We loyal micro geeks faithfully upgraded every time a new version came out until finally, somewhere around version 3.7, we had reached the point where we could use MS-DOS to actually run programs on our computers, and Bill Gates had reached the point where he had approximately 217 personal jet airplanes. I should point out that while all this was going on, there was another kind of computer developing in a parallel universe. This was the Apple, and it operated on an entirely different concept, which was a regular human could use it. You simply turned it on, and immediately, just like that, you could do stuff with it. It had little pictures on the screen, and a little mouse that made a pointer move to the picture you wanted. Even a child could understand this. For many years, while we MS-DOS people were trying insanely obscure instructions like directory C:\\abc proj /docs /livers /sales /aper \asterisk. The Apple people were simply aiming their little mouse pointers at little pictures and going click. In short, the Apple was far easier to use, so the vast majority of us serious computer users rejected it. As I noted in the introduction, the main reason we have computers is so that we can be tormented by them. We don't want some wussy, user-friendly computer. We want a challenge. And that's why, to this very day, Apple is not considered by us cyber wonks to be a truly serious computer. It is viewed as a computer that is popular mainly with your flaky or artsy-fartsy type of individual, your artist, your poet, your beatnik, your flower arranger, your heroin addict. We serious users pride ourselves on wrestling with openly hostile computers that are running an operating system from the proud, incomprehensible Microsoft tradition. That operating system, of course, is Windows. Registered, copyright, trademark. As I write these words, the computer world is still reverberating with the excitement surrounding the introduction of Windows 95, registered, copyright, trademark, which replaces Windows version 3.11, registered, copyright, trademark, which replaced Windows 3.1, registered, copyright, trademark, which replaced Windows version 3.0, registered, copyright, trademark, and so on backwards, the original Windows version 1.0, registered, copyright, trademark, which did nothing except put a colorful Windows registered copyright trademark logo on the screen along with a message that said, out of memory. Windows 95 registered copyright trademark represented a major step forward in the sense that it was virtually nothing like any of the earlier Windows registered copyright trademark versions, and nobody had any idea how to use it. Naturally, it was hugely popular. Everybody wanted it. Microsoft was getting bulk orders from primitive rainforest-dwelling tribes that didn't even have electricity. Inevitably, people began to figure out how to use Windows 95 registered copyright trademark to actually do things. Thus, the challenge facing software designers once again is to develop some creative new ways to thwart these users. And rest assured, they will do it. Even now, they're working on experimental programs that will spontaneously mutate into new 100% incompatible versions while they're running. And let's not forget the hardware manufacturers, who are constantly coming out with faster and more powerful computers in a relentless quest to render obsolete the computers they talked you into buying last month. Yes, we've come a long, long way from the days when prehistoric humans would write crude numbers on cave walls. How would these ancient ancestors react if we were to show them a modern computer? Probably they would beat it into submission with rocks. They were smarter than we realized. Welcome. Chapter 2. How Computers Work. Most of us are intimidated by computers. This is because computers involve electricity, which totally baffles us. We're still not sure how come it doesn't dribble out of the wall side the radio is receiving radio waves. But the truth is that we have no idea what this means. We can't answer such fundamental questions as, what are radio waves? How come they don't make any noise when they go past our ears, causing us to hear snippets of woolly-bullies zipping by? How do they go through walls? Do they also go through our bodies? Do they penetrate our skulls and get trapped inside there and ricochet around? Is that why certain songs, usually songs we really hate, such as I Shot the Sheriff, get stuck in our heads? Also Seasons of the Sun. We can't answer any of these questions. The pathetic truth is that if our science teachers had told us that radios work because they contain tiny nuclear-powered singing hamsters, we'd repeat that too. We know nothing about technology and cannot explain the principles involved in even the most basic labor-saving devices such as the salad shooter. So we naturally assume that computers are way beyond our comprehension. But that is not necessarily the case. In fact, computers operate on simple principles that can be easily understood by anybody with common sense, a little imagination, and an IQ of 750. So, let's put on our thinking caps now and get right to our discussion of how computers work. The first thing that happens is that electricity goes into the computer. The electricity is supplied by the wall socket, which is in turn connected to the electrical company via big overhead wires with squirrels running on them. A question many people ask after a couple of martinis is, how come the squirrels don't get electrocuted? To answer that question, we need to understand exactly what an electrical circuit is. When you turn on a switch, electricity flows through the wire into the appliance, where it is converted via a process called electrolysis into tiny microwaves. These fly around inside the oven area until they locate the hungry hombre heat-and-eat hearty burrito entree, and then they signal the location to each other by slapping their tails in a distinctive pattern. The workers, or drones, then penetrate the fallopian tubes and swarm around the queen. This causes the rapid warming that makes the entree edible and leads via amino acids to digestion. This is followed by grunting and flushing, with the outflow traveling via underground pipes to the sewage treatment plant, which in turn releases purified water into the river, where it is used to form waterfalls, which rotate the giant turbines that produce the electricity that flows through the wires back to your appliance, thereby completing the circuit. So we see that squirrels have nothing whatsoever to do with it. There is no need for you to worry about squirrels. Believe me, they are not worrying about you. A much more productive use of your time, in my opinion, would be to focus your attention on the question at hand, which is how computers work. Computers are essentially counting machines, but they do not count the way we do. We use what mathematicians call the base 10 numbering system, which means that we go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on until we reach 10. And after that point, we can no longer use the express lane. Granted, there are gray areas. For example, if you're buying 2 rutabagas, you can count them as one item, because the cashier is going to weigh them as one item and then ring them up as one item. But the same does not hold true for cereal. If you're buying a box of shredded wheat and a box of Fruit Loops, that is clearly 2 separate items. Please don't try to tell me, but they're both cereal, so really it's just one item. The Supreme Court rejected that argument years ago. The specific case was Mrs. Bernice A. Wackerdorfer versus a bunch of really angry people waiting in line behind her. Oh yes, I've stood behind extra item people like you in checkout lines. I know your little tricks. You get in the express lane with your 10 items that are really closer to 15 or 16 items, and then you just reach the cashier. You suddenly realize that you forgot some vital item on your list, and so the entire express lane has to stand there twiddling its thumbs while you send your 8-year-old child off on a scavenger hunt to find the Cheese Whiz Light, which, to judge how long your child is gone, is located located somewhere in the Amazon River basin. And when your child finally returns, you send him or her back because he or she brought the 16-ounce jar, and your coupon, of course you have coupons, is good only for the 12-ounce jar. And when you finally are ready to pay, then and only then do you start rooting around for your checkbook. Of course, you pay by check. And then you ask for your pen, and then you can't find your driver's license, and then you ask what the date is, and then you want to check to make sure that the cashier also deducted the coupon for the Happy Tabby liver and chocolate cat treats. And don't you see what you're doing to the people behind you? Don't you realize that you're only seconds away from being attacked by a crazed mob armed with potentially lethal groceries? Do you have any idea how much damage can be inflicted on the human body by a frozen Cornish game hen? No, you're not thinking about all that, are you? You're stuck in your own self-centered, short-sighted little world, and it would never occur to you to consider any of the broader issues affecting society and the future of mankind, such as how computers work. The key thing to understand is that computers do not count the way we do. Instead of the basic 10 system, computers use what mathematicians call the binary system, in which there are only two numbers, 0 and 1. In some ways, this is a disadvantage for computers. For example, they are incapable of doing this cheer. 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? Instead, computers have to cheer thusly. 1, 0, who's our hero? This cheer is not nearly as effective, which is why, although computers are getting really good at chess, they still suck at football. But the binary system enables the computer to perform certain tasks far more efficiently than the human brain can. For example, the average human can take up to a half an hour to remember and sing the 12 Days of Christmas. Even then, the human is likely to include incorrect elements, such as 11 lads squatting, whereas a computer, using the binary system, has to sing only the one line about the partridge in the pear tree. The difference is even more dramatic for 99 bottles of beer on the wall. Of course, you, the computer user, do not see just ones and zeros on your computer screen. You see all the normal numbers, plus all the letters, plus, if you're taking advantage of the vast array of multimedia informational resources available on the internet, dirty pictures. Where do all these things come from? What's going on inside that magic box on your desktop? To answer these questions, we really do need to explore in depth the question of how computers work. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to answer a complicated question like this in a small amount of space remaining in this chapter. Briefly, though, what appears to happen is this. The electricity goes into the computer where there are parts that do the actual computing. I frankly have no idea how they do it, but if I had to guess, I'd say it involves radio waves. Chapter 3. How to buy and set up a computer. Step 1. Get value. If you're a novice in cyberspace, you may think that buying a computer is a scary and confusing process. But the truth is that if you take a little time to learn a few basic principles and some of the technical lingo, buying the right computer and getting it to work properly is no more complicated than building a nuclear reactor from wristwatch parts in a darkened room using only your teeth. So let's get started. What kind of computer do I need? Experts agree that the best type of computer for your individual needs is one that comes on the market about 2 days after you actually purchase some other computer. Computer manufacturers have agents monitoring your home at all times. The instant you come home with a newly purchased computer, these agents use their wrist radios to contact the manufacturer and say, "Your name just bought a computer. It's time to come out with a much better one with way more features for the same price so that your name will feel like a great big consumer boner head." I know, they've done this to me dozens of times. Note, perhaps you think you can trick them by bringing home an empty computer box and remarking to yourself out loud, "Here I am, bringing home a new computer that I just purchased." Don't be a fool. They have X-ray glasses. $50 less than you will actually pay. What size of computer should I get? You need to decide whether you want a desktop or a laptop. A desktop computer has the advantage of pretty much covering your entire desk, so that in the office environment you can duck behind it and pick your nose. Desktop computers also have bigger screens, which are better if you're the type of power user who runs a lot of graphics-intensive data processing applications such as golf. Take your finger out of your nose when you putt. Also, desktop computers provide an excellent inter-office communications capability because you can stick post-it notes on the screens. Laptop computers don't have the same display quality, but they do pack an astounding amount of computing power into a lightweight, notebook-sized unit that is unbelievably easy to steal. Also, they operate on batteries, which means that you can take your computer anywhere, on a boat, to a remote cabin, on the Space Mountain ride, and so on, and have it suddenly stop working because these are special batteries that need to be recharged about every 20 minutes. I carry my laptop computer everywhere, and I found it to be an invaluable tool for getting into deadly no-escape conversations with friendly people sitting next to me on long plane trips. You know, those disturbingly friendly Forrest Gump-like people who get on cross-country flights with absolutely nothing to read or do, so that after they've studied the barf bag, which takes them about 20 minutes, they start to prey leech-like on the passengers around them for entertainment. I am always, apparently it's an FAA regulation, seated next to these people. When I pull out my laptop computer, they become fascinated. And why not? It's even more interesting than a barf bag. They stare at it for a while, and then we have a conversation like this. Friendly person, gesturing at the computer, which is obviously a computer. Is that a computer? Me. Yes. Having determined that we are really hitting it off, the friendly person leans over and peers closely at the screen. I really hate it when people look at what I'm writing. Much of the time, I don't even want to look at what I'm writing because it's usually some semi-random collection of words desperately trying to form themselves into a joke. I try to appear busy so that the friendly person will realize that I'm working and leave me alone. But this never happens. Friendly person. So, what are you doing? Me. Writing. I turn busily back to my computer, although I can't think of anything to write because I'm just waiting for the friendly person to say, friendly person. What are you writing? Me. A newspaper column. Now, of course, the friendly person wants to read the column. I try to turn the computer screen away from him, but this only causes him to lean over even closer, so that he's practically in my seat. Friendly person, reading. What's a booger? Me. It's not a booger, it's a booger. Friendly person, loud enough so that other passengers turn to look. Booger? Me. Yes. Friendly person, a little suspiciously. What kind of newspaper do you work for? My feeling is if the airlines want to appeal to the frequent flyer, they should stop advertising that they have comfortable seats and start advertising that they have ejection seats. Where should I buy my computer? One option is to go to one of those giant discount electronics warehouses where they sell computers along with every other kind of household appliance. The problem here is that the sales staff, because they also have to handle refrigerators, stereos, and so on, might not be highly knowledgeable about computers per se. You say, can you tell me about this computer? Salesperson, sure. This is an excellent computer with, let's see, reads from the card on the computer. Okay, this one has 4 MB RAM. You. What does that mean? Salesperson. Well, it's basically a measurement of the amount of RAMs that this particular computer has, which relates to the magnetism. This computer has 4 MB of them, which is excellent. I have 4 at home myself. So you want it? You. Okay, I guess. Salesperson. I strongly recommend the auto defrost option. In recent years, 1993 and 1995, just to name 2, we we've seen the growth of a new breed of superstores with names like Compio Mama and Crazy Walter's House of Data, devoted solely to computers. You walk into one of those huge spaces and you see hundreds of computer systems, all of which look pretty much alike, except that they have different prices. In fact, they are alike. Every night, for fun, the store workers switch all the prices around. Plus, no matter which computer you say you want to buy, they just go back into the storeroom and grab the first one they come to, because they know you'll never be able to tell the difference. What's your name gonna do? They say to each other, just out of earshot. First we count the megabytes? So, when you buy from one of these stores, you really need to know what you're doing. Before you go to the store, get a piece of paper and make up a specification sheet detailing exactly what you want in terms of RAM, ROM, processor speed, hard drive, modem, keyboard, monitor, and physical configuration. When you get to the store, find a salesperson who appears to know what he's doing, crumple your specification sheet into a ball, toss it into the air, and whichever computer system it lands nearest to, say, "I'll take that one." Be sure to ask about the auto defrost option. If you don't want to deal with a store, you can purchase your computer via mail order. If you look in the back pages of any computer magazine, you'll see dozens of very aggressive advertisements for discount mail order companies offering great prices on computers. At least, I think they're computers. The actual merchandise being offered in these advertisements is always listed in print as approximately 2 molecules high. And even if you can read the words, you can't necessarily understand them because they appear to be written in some kind of secret code. So you can definitely get some great deals from Computers or Else. Discounts, discounts, discounts. Take a look at these incredible prices. Mail order companies. Although it could turn out that you have unintentionally purchased, say, a lawn tractor or undeveloped vacation property in Bosnia. Even if you get an actual computer, things may not work out perfectly. I once purchased a laptop computer from a major, highly successful discount mail order company that is known for running elaborate multi-page advertisements in computer magazines. These are fun theme ads featuring people, I assume they're company employees, dressed up as secret agents, big game hunters, and so on, actually wildly excited about this company's computers. So I figured, hey, a company running all these big, expensive ads has to be good, right? So I called up the company and spoke to an enthusiastic young man with a name like Todd, who called me David a lot and who confirmed that this particular computer was a superb product. And so, figuring that there was no reason why a close, personal, first-name basis friend like Todd would lie to me, I ordered it. And I have to say that this computer did, in fact, function beautifully, provided that the sole activity you planned to use it for was setting your drink on it. But as far as actual computing was concerned, it had a couple of problems. The 2 main ones being, 1, it usually refused to turn on. 2, if you did get it to turn on, it would wait until you had written something, for example, a humor column that was due that very day. And then when you tried to save it, the computer, sensing that you were about to actually accomplish something, would turn itself off, and your humor column would go to that big hard drive in the sky, and you would never see it again. So, I called the technical support hotline number. I expected a long wait, but I was pleasantly surprised when I was immediately answered by a courteous, efficient, and highly knowledgeable recorded voice informing me that all the technical support representatives were busy. The voice did not say what they were doing. My guess is they were selecting their costumes for the magazine ads. It turned out that reaching an actual technical support representative was about as easy as reaching the Pope. The difference being that if you ever did reach the Pope, he would probably be more helpful. The representative I finally spoke to, after maybe 17 years on hold, basically took the position that 1, there was no problem, and 2, it was my fault. I don't blame him. As a technical support representative, He had probably spent most of his career dealing with computer illiterates who cannot understand why their computers stopped working just because they inserted a slice of processed cheese into the disk drive. It's only natural that he has come to assume that everybody who calls him up is an idiot. Technical support representative.
What seems to be the problem?
Me. Well, for one thing, the computer won't turn on. Technical support representative, suspiciously.
What do you mean? The computer won't turn on?
Me. I mean, the computer won't turn on. Technical support representative.
I see. Did you press the power switch?
Me. Yes. Technical support representative, accusingly.
It should turn on.
Me. Yes. Technical support representative.
Are you sure you pressed the power switch?
Me. Yes. Technical support representative.
The one on the computer?
Me. Yes. Technical support representative.
And it won't turn on?
Me. No. Technical support representative, becoming annoyed.
Well, it should.
This went on for quite a while, with the technical support representative grilling me courtroom style, grinding away relentlessly, looking for cracks in my story, trying to get me to break down and admit that my computer was in fact working fine, that I had just made up this whole wacky episode so that I could wait forever on hold in hopes of someday experiencing the ultimate pleasure of talking to a technical support representative. Finally, he gave up and reluctantly gave me a secret code authorization number that I could use to ship the computer back to the company, which then took several weeks to, and I'm sure this wasn't easy, but that's why these big operations have quality control departments.